Hello and welcome. Today I'm discussing the pros and cons of YouTube in education for my EdTech 533 blog. What are the advantages? The first advantage, obviously, is access to the visual. Students need to be able to see what we're talking about. And in subject areas that I teach and subjects in my department, such as geography, history, and social studies, let's take geography. In Barbados, we don't have volcanoes, we don't have earthquakes, we very rarely experience hurricanes. And say you want to demonstrate how a volcano erupts, students have never seen that. It is so much easier to use a video from YouTube in order to in order for them to see. I guess you might have heard my cock crowing in the background. A second advantage of using YouTube in education is that it brings concepts to life and it demonstrates sequences and steps so much more easily than if you were using static representations. A series of diagrams in a textbook may not necessarily show you what exactly you want your students to be able to see. A third advantage is, depending on how I use it, I can have my students develop their higher order skills. Their skills of evaluation, presenting a playlist of lessons, and then have them make an analysis of what is being presented there and come to some sort of conclusion, make some sort of concluding statement on what they would have viewed. For me, a fourth advantage, and especially again because of the topics, the subjects that I teach, is that I can create materials and tutorials specific to my subject area. It can be really difficult to find videos already out there, content already out there on my area in social studies, which includes topics such as government and regional integration, because our system of government in some ways is very different from the American model, which is what is most often out there to be found. So I know that when I've created these tutorials, they're available to the students whenever they need them. I don't have to worry because I know they are specific to their needs and their requirements. And leading out of that, in the same way that I can easily create the content, the students can just as easily create content too. I'm making a YouTube video. They can do it probably even more successfully than I can. And it can be used to demonstrate their understanding of a concept, to create a digital story. For example, in history, they could tell me the story of someone on the Middle Passage, or they can play the part of a Kalinago warrior boy about to undergo his initiation. I think they would be really excited to have an opportunity to create content in such a way and then have it published for the world to see if necessary. On the other hand, though, there are several cons and they can be really difficult to overcome. Not impossible, but they can be really difficult to overcome in our context. And primary among these is the fact that YouTube is currently blocked as a ministry policy. Our Ministry of Education has blocked it in schools. We would have to get around that by downloading the videos and playing them back like that. And you know that sometimes you might have copyright issues to deal with if you do that. A second disadvantage, obviously, is that there are issues with relation to bandwidth. Currently, internet access in my school is really, really slow and is also erratic because all buildings don't have access. And I would have to get around that by by downloading the video onto my computer and then projecting it onto the wall or something, because all the students don't necessarily have computers themselves either, which is another disadvantage because then the lesson becomes more teacher-centered. Students aren't able to pause the video and replay as they would want to, which in some contexts would be the preferred learning activity. We then have to operate as a whole class, and everybody's need to pause may not be recognized. In addition, another disadvantage is there is a lot of content on YouTube of dubious merit, and you really don't want to expose your students to this. We know that they're going to find it regardless. They have already found it. But as a teacher, you don't want it to be happening as a result of your class. And I know that this would be a reason why it is blocked as a policy decision. Although, to my mind, it is partly a way for us to integrate teaching them how to discriminate when they are accessing content on the web. We may not be entirely successful, but it is a lesson, it's a teachable moment that we can use to our advantage to help them along the path of developing their discriminatory skills. A fourth disadvantage for me as a teacher is the time that it will take to preview the materials. For every video that I find that is usable in my classroom, I may have had to spend half an hour, 2 hours sometimes, previewing content to be sure that it is related to what I want or that it does not contain other aspects that I would really prefer my students not to see. So those are essentially for me the advantages and the disadvantages at this point in time of using YouTube in education. As I continue throughout this course, I confidently expect that my perspective on it will change. I know it will change. There would be no point in doing the course otherwise if it didn't change. And I think that it is a really useful tool that we can engage with our students. And I look forward to doing this very much. So thanks for watching my presentation, and I'll see you soon.